Assalamu alaikum. Students, welcome to virtual session of week 13 of Introduction to Databases. If you can hear me properly, please raise your hands. Okay. So, let's continue with the lecture which I was giving in my face-to-face class. And meanwhile, if you find any question, you can stop me or you can raise hand. I'll answer your question first. So we talked about different topics: application, programs, and user interfaces. We talked about web fundamentals. I told you about HTML and the architectures of web. Then we talked about servlets and JSP. Then the application architectures, the application development approach, which is called rapid application development, application performance, security, encryption, and its applications. So we talked. So what I'll be doing is I'll be just giving you a review of the topics which we have studied in face-to-face class, and then you can ask me questions. I told you that most databases users do not write query language like SQL whenever they have to access data from the database. Rather, they prefer to use some application programs. And application programs or applications are can be split into front end, middle layer, or back end. The front end is the one in which you see your user interface, in which you enter your data in different forms, and it is mostly in the form of a graphical user interface, and it is linked through web. So you enter your data in the forms, you fill in the fields, and this data travels through the internet and goes to the database servers, which manipulates this data. So these are the different application architectures in different eras: mainframe era in 1960s till 1970s, then personal computer era in 1980s, and then web era 1990s onwards. So we are living in the web era nowadays, and the web era is now more matured when we are living in the era where we have cloud computing, and we can have database servers placed over the cloud as well. Now, web browsers have become the de facto standards user interface to databases, and through web interface, large number of users can use the database or access the database from anywhere in the world. And now, web browsers also allow you to run some short programs which are called scripts over them, instead of just sending all the details to the web server for manipulations. For example, in the websites of banks, airlines, rental car reservations, university registration, and reading, etc., where you fill in the data and it is manipulated, some processing or is performed on the client side. Then we talked about World Wide Web, HTML. We talked about uniform resource allocators. We talked about HTML and hypertext transfer protocol. This was a sample HTML source text. This was a display of this sample source, that if you write it, this sample code, this will result in this. Then we talked about web servers, that web servers communicate through common gateway interface, which is standard interface between web and application servers. So the web servers serve the request received from the front end. This is the web architecture. So this one is 3-layer web architecture, where your browser sends the request through HTTP from the network, and it goes to the web server, then application server, then database server. This is 2-layer architecture in which you have web server and application server combined, which connects to the database server and which uses the database ultimately. The HTTP protocol is connectionless. That is, once the server replies to a request, the server closes the connection with the client and forgets all about the request. In contrast, when you log in through Unix, or if you use JDBC or ODBC connections, they stay connected until the client disconnects on its own. We use cookies, which is a small piece of text containing identifying information. So the cookie is sent from server to browser, and it is sent whenever your browser connects to the server for the first time. And the purpose is to identify that session, whether the browser has visited the server before or not. So the browser contains this information within it. So whenever it connects to the server checks that whether the browser has some cookies. So if it is, this means that the request to connect from this browser has come previously as well, and it treats that accordingly. So the minimum information is kept, some key information, whichever the server wants to keep on the client, is placed in the form of a cookie. Java Servlet specification defines an API for communication between web application server and application programs running in the server. So this is done in the form of a servlet, which is loaded in the server. So this is the example servlet code. Servlets run inside application servers such as Apache Tomcat, Glassfish, JBoss. So these are some examples. Now scripting means like some programs to check the data entered in the form of forms or some other calculations. The servlets are just a small piece of code, small programs which are written. So those programs can be written on client side or server side. If it is written on the server side, it simplifies the task of connecting a database to the web. So HTML document contains the code, and we can communicate with. We can write SQL queries as well, and connect with the database as well. So PHP is a language which is widely used for web server scripting. You can keep the scripts on the client side as well, like your browser can fetch certain scripts, like which are called client scripts, which are programs along with the documents, and execute them in safe mode at the client side. So there can be JavaScripts, Micromedia Flash, or Shockwave for animation jam, VRML, applets. So these all JavaScript all are the scripts which are run at the client side. Security mechanisms is needed so that the malicious scripts, like whenever we want to run a script on the client, we need to make sure that it is not malicious, like it is not intended to cause damage to the client machine. So JavaScripts are widely used, and the basic purposes of JavaScripts are check input validity, offer validity, like if the user has entered the correct input or not, or like the allowed, will enter the input within the allowed domain. As you know that each attribute has a domain. So whenever the user enters a value or want to enter a value in a database, you can check that if it is within the domain or not, or it is some invalid value. If it is, then it can notify the user at that time that it is invalid. Now the application architecture, if we talk about application layers, first of all, there's a presentation or user interface, then business logic layer, then data access layer. Now you can see that representation or user interface contains the model view controller architecture, which is called MVC architecture, which has a view, a model, and a controller. So controller receives events and executes actions. View is concerned about the presentation of data, like which is the display device which you are using. What is the it depends on the physical device how you are going to present data. And model represents the business logic. Business logic layer provides high-level view of data and actions on data, often using the object data model, and hides details of data storage schema. And data access layer is the interface between business logic layer and the database. So this is the architecture. The web browser communicates through internet to the controller. The controller communicates through clients, which access the data through data access layer. and then it is prepared for view and then sent to the web browser as per the requirement. So even if instead of web browser you are using a mobile application, so it will be represented according to that. These are some details for your own reading about business logic layers. Then sometimes you perform object-relational mapping. You allow application code to be written on the top of object-oriented data models while storing data in traditional relational database. So this is concerned about your implementation, that how you are implementing your database and how you are trying to access that. So you can connect to the database in any way. The Hibernate object-relational mapping system is widely used, in which there is a public domain system which runs on a variety of database systems, supports a query language that can express complex queries involving joins as well, and it translates the queries written in SQL queries. Or you can use entity data model developed by Microsoft. There are certain web services which allow data on web to be accessed using remote procedural call mechanisms. So two approaches are widely used: representation state transfer, it is called REST, and or big web services like XML. So you can use any of these web services. Tools for applications to use the web when connected, but operate locally when disconnected from the web. Like you can perform certain operations while you are not connected to the internet. So some software and some web browsers allow you to perform disconnected operations. Now, rapid application development is like, you can say that instead of spending a lot of time in creation of applications, because we already know that what types of manipulations we'll be doing on the database and what types of operations. So it is quite common that some set of operations are particularly performed on the database. So what you can do is, to speed up application development, we can adopt different methodologies. So rapid application development is one of the approach used to develop applications, which provides we use certain tools to develop applications which are called RAD tools. So those RAD tools help us out to create applications more quickly. And there are certain frameworks for application development like Java Server Faces, JSF, or Ruby on Rails allows easy creation of simple CRUD interfaces by code generation from database schema to object model. Like you have that schema available with you, so you have CRUD. So CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. ASP.NET provides a variety of controls that are interpreted at server and generate HTML controls. So in Visual Studio, you also are provided with some codes can automatically be written if you are using certain controls from the GUI. Performance is an issue for popular websites because the popular websites may be accessed by millions of users every day, and thousands of requests per second are handled at peak time. So we sometimes use caching techniques to reduce cost of serving pages by exploiting commonalities between requests. So if you know that the same types of requests will be arriving in future, and during peak hours you see same types of requests, so you can use caching as well. So what you do is you make caching of the DBC connections between serverless requests, which is also called as connection pooling. Or you can cache results of database queries, like whenever a similar request arrives, you can give from the cache. It's just like we have talked about caching, and we talk about caching in operating systems. Like we use cache for fast access of data or fast retrieval of data. So you use caching in web server as well to speed up performance. Now let's talk about SQL injection. Suppose a query is constructed using this clause. Suppose the user, instead of entering the name, enters X or Y. Then the resulting statements become this, which is different. User could have even used X, update in such salary, or in this way. So so what you can do is, instead of just writing the statement as it is, what you can do is that we can prepare statements already. We can write statements already, and whenever a user enters an input parameter, so that using that parameter, you complete the statement. So you write complete statements initially. So now comes the cross-site scripting. The HTML code on one page executes action on another page. This is called cross-site scripting. Like you have written a code which will be executed on some other system. Just wait for a minute. Risk is if user viewing page with above code is currently logged into, for example, for this example, like image source is taken from here. If the user viewing page with above code is currently logged into my make, the transfer may succeed. But there is a risk involved as well, which is a vulnerability, like cross-site scripting or cross-site request forgery can be there, like because you are accessing the image from some other place. It prevents your website from being used to launch XSS, like cross-site scripting, or XSRF, which is cross-site request forgery attacks. This will allow HTML tags and text input provided by user using functions to detect and script such tags to ensure security. So this is a way how you can protect your website from these attacks. To ensure security, never store passwords such as database passwords in clear text and scripts that may be accessible to users. So even if you are keeping it in files, you have to make them password protected or encrypt them in some way. Restrict access to database server from IPs of machines running application servers. Single-factor authentication only based on password is critical, or if guessing of password occurs or sniffing of packets occur, so it may cause damage to your database. So it's better to have two-factor authentication, like for example, password plus one-time password sent by SMS. So you enter a password and then you are sent a code, which is a one-time usable code, and then if you enter that code, that like most of the websites nowadays, even if you are using a website of your bank or if you are using the website of Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Interior, so what you do is you enter your username, you enter your password, and then you log in. After the login, your code is sent to your registered mobile number, and when you enter that code in the website, then your account gets opened. So this is the two-factor authentication is performed. So it makes, because you are using the bank application, and you're going to access the bank database applications, and so some critical systems, it is better to have two-factor authentication systems, which makes your database more secure. You need to protect your application from man-in-the-middle attack as well. The man-in-the-middle attack is the one when two client and server are communicating with each other, a system comes in the middle and pretends that I am the second person, and you start sending your data to that person, assuming that this is the person whom you are intending. So this is and the middle attack, and you need to be there are certain mechanisms to avoid or to be aware of this. So you need to think about the precautions or the solution for man-in-the-middle attack as well. Single sign-on is a solution as well. Like whenever you have to verify user identity without repeatedly entering passwords. Like for example, if your password attempt first time is not successful, then you are asked to use some other authentication mechanisms. And you can have your authorization revised as well, like you are authorizing people to how much data, how much views they are provided for database. Applications must log actions to an audit trail to detect who carried out an update, accessed some sensitive data. So the audit trails are maintained, and so that the security breaches can be identified to repair any damaged or to trace who carried out the breach. So the audit trails are maintained. They are needed at database levels and the application level as well. And so you can see as well, like whenever you visit your bank's website and you perform certain transactions, so the audit trails are maintained on the website as well, like you logged in at what time and what you did, which page you accessed, what transfer you performed, and like all your actions are recorded for audit, so that if some problem occurs, then it can be identified that from where security breaches occur, breach came in, and from where the problems arise. And even you can use encryption to make your applications more secure or make your database secure. So there is two encryption schemes, like symmetric key encryption, where same key is used for encryption and for decryption. And you can go for asymmetric key encryption, where you use different keys for encryption and decryption. So I hope you are familiar with encryption, that converting your data in using some key, converting your data in a format so which is not readable. So when you have to perform decryption, you have to use another key to convert the data from encrypted format to the plain text, plain format. So sometimes you use same key for encryption and decryption. It is called symmetric key encryption, and if you use different keys, it is called asymmetric key encryptions. The two standards, data encryption standards and advanced encryption standards, which you use when you are going for encryption, and you have to decide from which encryption scheme you are going to use on your database whenever you are going to encrypt your data. And there are some hybrid schemes as well, which combine both of these, and which combine both of these schemes for this. And now encryption of small values such as identifiers or names are vulnerable to dictionary attacks, because these IDs are in digits and the names are also in digits. So when I say dictionary attack, it means trying all possible combinations, trying all possible words. Like, so the names, although it takes time, but the dictionary attack, like I know that these are the names a person can have in this country, possible names. So maybe there are too many names, but if you're trying all the names, maybe some name is correct for input. Databases widely support encryption, and there are different levels of encryption. Sometimes you make disk block encryption at disk block level. Sometimes you encrypt the entire relation. Sometimes you encrypt the specific attributes of relations, like the attributes which you want to encrypt. So some of the sensitive attributes which you can encrypt. Password-based authentication is widely used, but is susceptible to sniffing of the network, because the passwords can be sniffed. Sniffed means listened to on the network. So because when the passwords are traveling over the network, someone can record which packet, which password is coming in. So it can be this type of authentication can be dangerous. So there is a challenge response systems which avoids transmission of passwords. And sometimes we use digital signatures to verify authenticity of data. Like, for example, we want to ensure that This is the database which actually was created by this person. So, because they have digital signatures added with them, so they cannot say that we have not sent this data. And sometimes we use digital certificates to verify authenticity of public keys. So the certificate tells that, the signed document or certificate tells that this is the person who has performed this and has the authority to do this. Okay, these are some figures. Okay, so my lecture ends over here. Okay, the lecture ends here. If you have any question from these contents, you can ask me now. Okay, welcome. Okay, students, thank you very much. I'm available over here since 7 p.m. If you have any question about these contents or about any of the previous contents, you can send me a message on the text panel, on the chat panel, and I'll answer you over there. I'm turning the microphone off. Thank you very much.